So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're tired basically of feeling stuck because you're distracted scrolling on social media or you're binge watching TV shows and movies without actually accomplishing the work that you want and need to get done, then this video is for you. Because in this video today, I'm going to be talking about dopamine detoxing. And most of you have these, let's say, incredible goals, dreams, aspirations, but you just don't know how to actually accomplish them. Now, real quick, let me basically tell you in the first place that you're probably stuck, because most people think that they lack something, they lack energy or they lack knowledge. And that is why, they are not where they are right now. That's what they assume on, why they are not there where they want to be in life. Well, that is actually wrong. The main thing that you're lacking is focus. Because when you're basically a person who has a lot of focus and can focus on just one singular thing at a time, then it's very, very easy to actually get the know-how and the tangible knowledge that's needed to accomplish those things, right? For example, the goals that you have set for yourself. And secondly, when you're focusing on just one singular task at a time, you can do that for a very, very long period of time. And from that point, you will really start to enjoy it as well. Now, I'm sure that you guys have seen already plenty of these kind of YouTube videos, maybe about dopamine detoxing, about what they are, what they can do for you, and how it can actually help you achieve those things, like your goals, for example, right? In today's video, what I'm going to be doing and what I'm actually want to accomplish is basically giving you a breakdown for, let's say, the next 2 weeks on what to do and what you can actually do right after this video to control, those dopamine levels. Tangibly, what that's going to feel like as well, and how you will feel, hopefully, and as well act differently in 14 days from now. And then, most importantly, how to actually integrate that. Because, here's basically what happens. A lot of people, most of the times, will do those dopamine detoxing stuff. And, from there on, most people will grab their phone, the first thing that they do in the morning, and they will start allowing the stuff that they, want to get rid of, that will, let's say, let them sneak back to their old habits. They just do it again. So I'm going to show you exactly after those 14 days of dopamine detoxing, how to actually integrate this back into your life. And what I'm going to share has helped me personally, and that's also why I'm sharing this. It has helped me, with real growth over the past 5 years. It basically improved my focus a lot, and it gave me intense mental clarity. So dopamine detoxing for me is actually resetting your levels so that that way you can increase your capacity to focus, to be disciplined, and you will actually increase your output levels by first focusing, of course, on what you put into your system. So there are 3 non-negotiable steps that I would recommend over the space of the last 5 years. And I started it when I was 18. So from 18 till 23. That's basically what I've been practicing with different dopamine detoxes at different points of the year. And most of the time without actually realizing it. Planning out the rules and the structures around that, so we are clear on what we want to achieve. It's super important. And the first one is purpose. Look, people who understand basically the extent of their health, the health concerns, and realize what will happen if they don't change their behavior at this point, feeling stuck, experiencing pain, and visualizing basically what that future looks like. Not being healthy to see, their kids grow up, or taking 5 pills a day and feeling actually miserable each morning because of it, right? That's basically the mental picture that sparks a basically desire for change. And that's why they succeed. So honestly, ask yourself, why is it so important for you right now to regain your focus? What is it going to do, and what's going to happen if you don't get, your life together? This protocol has basically the potential to change your life, as it's done for me as well. But, just because it can doesn't mean that it will. Not until you decide and internalize what is necessary for you to change. And that's why it's so important to understand the step that I will explain in a second. Number 2 is cutting. And everybody out there has, of course, different opinions about what to include and what to exclude in a detox. And I'm not here to argue with anyone about, semantics or whatever. But if you want to use my protocol that is going to meet real results, these are basically the 4 ways, the 4 non-negotiables in terms of categories that you can and have to cut out. The first one, of course, includes social media, TV subscriptions, video games, forums, and all those political news out there. These things needed to be deleted physically from your phone, from every browser out there, if possible. I don't care how much, discipline or willpower you think you will have, because, our brains are conditioned, programmed even to consume instant gratification. It's not even always about having, let's say, a craving or a motivation. It is just habitual. Even just glancing at your phone, from like basically start a lock screen, right? That notification is all it takes for like to get back is like 30 minutes to disappear from your life. And yes, this also means blocking YouTube if you can. And I know you're watching this on YouTube as well, but if you need to use YouTube for work or let's say creation like I do, then I get it. But at least do yourself a favor and use a browser extension that blocks your YouTube homepage and the sidebar to prevent getting sucked into it. And that will just get you distracted, just like TikTok. Number 2 is unhealthy sex. And this might sound very strange, but this also includes like pornography, masturbation, and also dating apps like Tinder. There are so many problems out there that can arise from just watching porn, or especially young men who are basically in their majority to consume other people doing some crazy stuff. You have to understand that sex is something that drives people to do very irrational things. It's absolutely crazy, but the science shows us as well, like the pursuit of sex releases huge spikes in dopamine, as most of you guys know, and sometimes even more than the act of actual sex itself. So even swiping on Tinder, our brain instantly like dopamine hits every single time. I had a friend as well, this is a crazy story, who was so dominated by sex. He had a final exam, but he decided not to come and fail his class, all because of a Tinder date he wanted to meet up. And to me, that's absolutely crazy. Imagine your life being controlled by total strangers, just on your phone, or maybe text messages or whatever, or dating app. Not even confirm that these guys or girls, are real humans, with AI around us nowadays, if you know what I mean. Remember, basically, this part of the protocol is to actually help us to take back our control. So next up are consumables. That means no alcohol, no drugs, no junk food, and preferably no tap water. If you know, you know. We are basically what we put into our bodies. And in order to give our mind and our brain as well the best opportunity to reset, we can't keep, altering it and basically feeding it with dopamine. Substances are one of the easiest wins and ways to escape from emotions and from reality, because they feel really, really good. Of course, it feels good to consume a McDonald's for most people, but it's way easier to kick back with the girls and the boys and hang around till 4 a.m. than it's to sit down and focus and studying or whatever, building a business or whatever your goals are. Our mind will always crave the thing that gives us the quick pleasures, the quick things in life. So this is why it's really, really important that during this entire protocol, our mind is basically unaltered, right? And remember, this isn't forever. Trust me, I love, also sometimes to sneak away with something, like not like alcohol, because I don't consume it, but everybody has it. But you have to stay dry for the duration of the entire detox. It's just 14 days. And number 4 is basically adrenaline seeking behaviors. That means no gambling, no shopping sprees, no horror movies. All of these activities, releases massive surges of dopamine. What I'm saying here is keep them on your toes. That's basically the dopamine playground. If we aren't sure if the reward, we are gonna get is gonna be good or bad, but there is possibility basically that's gonna be a banger, then it's most of the times the addictive type of activity is the thing that you're looking at right now. And it's weird because when we know exactly what the reward is going to be, it is less exciting and we are basically less likely to do it consistently. But when the reward basically is uncertain, it's an all-you-can-eat dopamine buffet when we keep, coming back for it and we want more and more and more, because basically there is simply no end. You might think, maybe I will get, let's say, lucky my next hand at the casino. Maybe I will basically find a better deal and I'll keep scrolling on social media or websites or whatever. If we aren't 100% certain about what we will get in terms of reward, our craving gets amplified. And this concept, of course, also amplifies the social media, dating apps, and all the other stuff we are cutting out too. So in part 3 of preparation is actually how long to dopamine detox for. And this protocol, as I said, is based on what worked for me. And we wanted to spend at least 14 days in this full detox mode. Look, there is so much instant gratification delivers to us on a daily basis that our brain is in a constant state of overstimulating. And as you've probably maybe experienced yourself as well, the more that you actually consume in whatever it might be, it can also just be the food that you eat every single day, the less that you actually will enjoy by time. So with overstimulating, there is too high and basically too much dopamine hanging around, and our brain at a certain point, it cannot handle it anymore. Look, I once read that overstimulating is like, turning up the volume of your phone to max, when it's plugged to like a speaker. The input is so high at a certain point, and the sound is so loud that we have to, compensate by turning down the volume of that speaker. We have to, from that point, reduce the level of our, let's say, input before we can balance out the volume of the speaker, right? Otherwise, maybe some of the people know, we would completely blow out the entire speaker. And this process, that will take time. So give your brain at least 14 days to reset. And from that point, you can always go longer if you want. But there is no upper limit to it. And the length of time you can basically reduce as well, depending on what works for you. But personally, as what worked for me, I don't think it's necessary to go longer than those 30 days. Okay, but for now, let's move on. So part 2 of this protocol is execution. And we have set up the logistics of this mindset, the rule, and basically the time frame as well. Now it's time to actually execute. And as you begin to dopamine detox, you are guaranteed to experience uncomfortable emotions in the beginning. I can tell you, just prepare for it, because at a certain point you will feel basically anxious, about being disconnected from the internet or losing your Instagram behaviors that you might have had. You will feel uncomfortable with, let's say, long silences, as you're basically forced to make basically conversations with your friends in real life instead of, just watching Netflix all the time. You will feel lonely because, just being with your thoughts and in silence might be strange. You feel frustrated eating breakfast with your iPad or, taking a dump with basically a book and instead of scrolling TikTok. But all of these emotions, there is, one that you will definitely experience and you cannot try to escape. What do we do then, when we feel like this? At that point, we reach starting to our phone and we start scrolling. That's an instant instinct. Our mind is trying everything it can, to escape and feeling bored. It's completely fine, because the mind is basically programmed in a way to think of basically boredom, for example, of basically a state of mind where there's still a lot of dopamine hanging around. But from that point, you want to feel and you want to be in control, that you can actually do better. And eventually your mind is going to be so bored that doing anything will be better. I can tell you that. I've experienced it myself as well. But you just don't want to, sit around all the day and do nothing. All that's definitely not an option, okay? Don't forget that we also release dopamine for a lot of things that we do, but also don't do. It's often gradual and less intense than the stuff that we are basically cutting out. But we need to jog, as let's say, our mind memory. And from that point, you will feel way better. I can tell you that you will feel at a point that you can actually achieve your goals and talk to cool people, learn new skills, and a whole bunch of other good stuff. With the execution phase, we are reconditioning our brain toward healthy dopamine alternatives. So we get a steady release of dopamine from that point. And we can actually enjoy the thing that we used to do. So to put this in action, we will basically do 3 practices every single day with basically no exceptions. And the first one is super simple, and the most important one is going to be self-reflection. This is the most important part of the execution phase, because in order to experience positive change, we have to, of course, first become aware of it in order to change it. Because if we're not aware, we cannot change it. It doesn't have to be a deep trauma dump exploring, your deepest, darkest secrets or whatever. All the protocol requires you, to just give yourself a 10 minutes of basically self-reflection, or maybe meditation, journaling, gratitude practice helps a lot for me as well, or maybe even breathwork or whatever, one of those you prefer. Most people live every waking moment in constant distraction. Maybe you're not even aware of it. And the moment we wake up, what we do, like I said, we grab our phone, we scroll on TikTok or whatever. We listen to music during basically commutes, watch Netflix all the time while also eating. We would watch TV and basically scroll at the same time. It's actually strange if you think about it. And, the point that I'm trying to make here is that our mind is so consumed with, let's say, that instant gratification I talked about, that we never make the time to think about ourselves, just in silence, to be with yourself. No wonder we are stuck in, not making progress, becoming better humans or whatever. It's because we don't sit down and reflect. And self-reflection is basically the building block of self-improvement, and a vehicle as well, for self-discovery eventually. So can you devote just 10 minutes a day to change your life? The people who say that they don't have time to self-reflect are most likely the ones who need their self-reflection the most. So number 2 of this is exercising daily. And this is my favorite. This can be as simple as, a 30-minute gym session, run in the park, yoga, or maybe stretching, maybe bike riding, rock climbing, whatever fits your vibe. It's just about moving your body. Exercise actually increases your blood flow throughout your body, as you know. And yes, it also causes basically a healthy and steady, let's say, release of dopamine, as that's the thing what we are talking about all the time. That's why you feel so, damn good after working out, and partly why people experience also runner highs, including myself. So the thing is, regular exercise improves our mood. This will also increase our focus and reaction time. Keeps your body, of course, running smoothly whenever you want, and not, when your body wants. So you have the control. And it makes, of course, it makes us look sexy. There are literally a billion other things and benefits from regular exercise. I'm sure you don't need me to remind you about it. Number 3 is real socialization. And this one I was struggling a lot with. Talking, to other living human beings might be super simple that it sounds, but believe it or not, having a real conversation with other people releases dopamine levels as well, and other things that I'm not even going to talk about because I don't know exactly how they're called. Again, it doesn't have to be like a super elaborate thing. It can be a 5-minute conversation with your parents, with your brother, maybe someone you've neglected for a very long time, or maybe even your neighbor. But if you want to take this protocol to the next level and you want to take it serious, then tell them basically about what you're doing as well, the dopamine detox. Maybe, you will get them involved and inspire them as well to take control of their life if they are lacking that as well. I've grown more and more as a person from an enthusiastic and passionate friend than anyone else. But I was struggling a lot with talking to people, I can tell you that. Maybe you will be, let's say, the one, for someone else as well who's basically looking for a self-discovery journey. And that's all the protocol, that's all basically that's required. Once you enter detox, we reach the final part of the protocol, restoration. And restoration is basically the phase where we begin to reintroduce the things we cut out during our dopamine detox, but only after, let's say, careful consideration. Sure, we can be extreme about it and say, we were never going to do like the social media thing again, or video games, or drink, ever. But personally, I think that's completely unnecessary and for most people not really doable. So think about it this way. If you have to go as far as to create let's say, an absolute rule, never to use social media again, then who really controls over you, right? Who has really the control over you? You're still being, let's say, held hostage and basically restricting your opportunities for the self-discovery. The goal of dopamine detoxing is to regain our control in mind. So it's not about, permanently deleting all that stuff and all instant gratification or dopamine-like activities. It's all about, being intentional with a way that we can consume but control. And that is why I don't think like the dopamine detox need to be, let's say, go beyond the 30 days. Like I would say, because, once we reach dopamine like levels, the restoration phase of this protocol will basically help us build the life that we want from that point. So before I decided to reintroduce the thing back into my life, I asked myself a few very important questions. For example, what are the type of things that I value? What type of person do I want to be? What does this person spend their time doing? And does this app that I use, video game, subscription, alcoholic drink maybe, even though I don't drink, or maybe a new pair of Nikes align with my values, and how do I want to actually spend my time on it? Do they help me become basically the person that I want to be? If not, if they don't, then I just leave them out. That's it, as simple as that. So to give you as well a personal example, for what I did is basically reintroducing YouTube and Instagram back in my life. And it can be as healthy as, as long as it's done with intention, like I said earlier. Not, to just scroll basically without any intention and trying to get distracted. Look, I really enjoy a specific hybrid athlete. His name is Nick Bear. He's also a business owner on YouTube. He inspires me a lot. And so I really only search his name, in the search bar instead of, scrolling without any intention to find the video that I think I would like maybe to watch. And that's basically the same with Instagram. I love, getting ideas from basically big business owners out there and, to grab some inspiration about life. So I also use it to engage and explore those areas of interest, but I do it with intention. But I also won't allow it, to get myself, let's say, to get consumed. So I basically am very intentional with it. And I set a limit on my phone of 30 minutes, maybe sometimes 60 minutes a day for each app, depending on what I need to do. And this has worked amazingly for me. So from this point, I get exactly the value that I want out of these apps without, getting distracted, and I leave the rest all behind. So I really encourage you as well to get into the habit of basically putting that much intentional thought to the things that you want to reintroduce as well back into your life. If, down the line you realize that it's not serving you with basically the same person that it was earlier, then just get rid of it. This is how powerful you can become from basically restoration. You will have the ability to pick up and choose the best parts about technology, about video games, about social media, and you can leave the rest all behind. We can regain the control, remember? So understand that adding more doesn't always lead to more happiness, but it always leads to more distraction. And if you're aware of that, I can tell you you're doing a good job. And that's basically my full protocol for basically a dopamine detox. Look, I'm actually going to keep using it every few months still. So, just do a hard reset by time, especially, when I'm starting to feel burnt or notice that I'm not spending the time that I want to on the right things out there. And I have to be basically to preface that as well, like all the good things, This protocol won't instantly transform your life, but it will make big changes. And reframing our mindset and breaking down barriers and beliefs take intentional practice and time. So don't expect, to be a different human like overnight. But that's why we know we have protocols in place. If you decide to give, this protocol a go, please let me know in the comments below how it actually worked for you. Maybe what didn't work for you, and also what realizations and realization moments and maybe intentions did you discover about yourself during this time. Look, this is going to be a great year ahead of us, 2024 and beyond. And we are going to do amazingly credible things if we can also apply this pretty well into our system. And the more that you can have like singular focus on just one task that you're, willing and trying to accomplish, the more you're going to win at life. I can guarantee you that. So with that being said, I will catch you guys basically in the next video. And yeah, peace.